Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Sunday, the 23rd of February, and in just under 6 hours' time, the Reds will kick off away at the Etihad, won't they, against Manchester City in a Super Sunday blockbuster, which we're not fully relaxed, but we certainly enjoyed yesterday, didn't we? And I'm not talking about the boxing, which was brilliant, by the way, if you watched that. I'm not talking about the rugby, which was also brilliant, by the way, if you watched that as well. I'm talking about something else, which we'll get into very shortly. My name is Dave Davis, coming to you from the windows are rattling up in Edinburgh. Hopefully, it's a bit warmer, a bit nicer where you are at the same time. But we are here to talk all things on Sunday morning about Liverpool. But before we get to that, we are feeling a little bit, I don't know what the phrase is. As I put on the screen there, just in case you're watching it on YouTube or you're not watching on YouTube, easy like Sunday morning, sponsored by AF TV. Because if you look at that table, Liverpool and Arsenal have both played 26 games, but only one of those teams has 61 points. The other is 8 points adrift in second place. And the other may just have suffered a home defeat to West Ham and drawn a blank yesterday. So it's nice to look at that, isn't it? And probably because we are quite relaxed on a Sunday morning, let's just have a few melodies, shall we, from AFTV. Swam easy, easy like Sunday morning. Wow. Wow. The reactions, eh? Dear. And people will call me small-minded, bit whatever you want to call me for this. Let's be honest. We have not heard one bit of silence from Arsenal fans recently. And now, yeah, there we go. We won't put them through it too much anymore. But it's about us today, isn't it? Super Sunday, as we said, at the Etihad, 4:30. So much to look forward to. And how would you see it now? Do you see it as a must-win game? Feel free to sort of throw your comments there in the chat panel. Is it a must-win game? Is a draw a decent result based on what happened yesterday? Obviously, we don't want to lose, but be interesting to see how people see it. For my money, you'd want to win, especially the way City are, and you just feel like an 11-point gap. Imagine that, a potential 11-point gap between those two. Yeah, as Introvert Audio's just put there, stars align. Maybe this is a game we need to extend our lead by 3 more points. You can maybe never be too complacent, but I don't think a draw is a disaster based on yesterday. We will not have to wait too long to find out, will we? But we'll revisit that at the end because the big news this morning, it's all about contracts, isn't it? A little bit of transfer talk when it's about contracts. And in the Telegraph, I don't know if anyone clocked it, as it says there on AI, as per Sam Wallace, one of their chief writers, the expectation from many remains that VVD and Salah will stay whilst Trent leaves. Van Dijk could also become the highest paid defender in Europe. Now, I don't think we need to mince words too much. We do that in a heartbeat. I think most people now expect Trent to be off based on everything that they've heard or not heard, everything that they've read, seen, however you want to put it. If you could secure these two, exceptional. I mean, Van Dijk, that statement, Van Dijk could become the highest paid defender in Europe. So what? It's the best defender in the world. If that's what it takes, you get the deal done for another 3 years, however long it is. Simple as that. And as for Mo Salah, I mean, he's breaking records left, right, and centre, as we know, every week practically at the moment. I think if you could get those two done and Trent was to leave with obviously a couple more medals round his neck, everyone would make that deal in a nanosecond. You would shake on that right now. It's just crazy, isn't it, even? I mean, look at the date. It's the 23rd of February. There's only 3 months left or so on these guys' contracts. It just seems absolutely crazy to say. And you do kind of wonder when we are going to hear something more concrete, when things do move, because you're trying to be relaxed about it. And the reason I use that word specifically is there's a great interview with Virgil here on Sky Sports. He did it for, ahead of the Super Sunday game with Jamie Redknapp. I'm just going to play you about a minute or so clip where he does actually speak about his contract. And obviously we're reading his body language, listening sometimes what he's not saying as well. So if you've got YouTube, good just to pay attention to that. But let's just have a listen to this now.
You're in a great position. You've only got a few months left in your contract. You're the captain of the club. How do you see your future right now? Or is it still just doing football?
I think, you answered a little bit yourself. It's all about, the next couple of months to make sure that we give everything. Obviously, we're still in 3 competitions and we want to be successful in all 3 of them. And that's the main focus I've got. Very, very big plans.
Yeah, we've got very, very big plans for you as well, Virgil, which involve you staying for a good long period, at least another 3 years or so. And I won't because I always say if I reference a video or something to watch, I don't want to give it you all because that's unfair. It's a 17-minute or so video, well worth a watch, where he talks about leadership, Slot, the future. I gave you a little snippet of that, but also just almost a line from that I think it's important for you to read. And if you want to watch it, you probably get a bit more as well. He is relaxed. He talks about that specifically. And he's also really big that, and he really stresses this to Jamie Redknapp, all the focus is on the league, the end of the season. Yeah, Red Armchair supporter just saying that it's clear they're concentrating on the league. Contracts left until the end of the season. Does also say on that, though, Red Armchair supporter, and again, referencing everyone, definitely well worth having a watch, a listen, that there are conversations going in the background as well. They've been going for some time, as he says as well. So I get what you're saying. The focus is on the league for the player, but his agents will still be talking to the club. And we had that Paul Joyce, I think it was an exclusive a couple of weeks ago, I want to say. Don't test me on an exact date, where we know that Van Dijk's agent was sat with Richard Hughes as well. So the conversations are ongoing that way. We just want them done, don't we, really? This is dragging on far too long. Also, speaking of contracts and players, Mo Salah is talking. And when Mo Salah talks, you can't help but read or listen, can you, in all honesty? I mean, it's on the website. I'm not sure about you. I don't like the font on this new website, but obviously someone may say differently. Talks a great interview, talks about City and how that's a game. And look at this for a snippet on the website, taken from the official Premier League site. There's 5 players to score 15 plus goals and register 15 plus assists in a single season. So Mo Salah is one of those 5, along with Henry, Letitia, Cantona, and Hazard. It's just a great, isn't he? There's no 2 ways about it. And if you look, he's now level with Thierry Henry on goals, 24 them. So you expect him to go higher. I mean, he could just break all records this season. He really could. But it's a little bit more about what he says, I think. There's some brilliant quotes in this. Just having a read here. He's asked about 32 raises the bar. Said, it's fun, it's different, but I see it in a different way now. I am more experienced. When you are one of the senior players in the group, you have to care not just on the field. Okay. And he even talks about meeting Virgil in, after the day after the Villa draw, and how they were sort of and not happy, wanted to improve it. You can just sense the elite mentality. It just comes through all the time. But this is the bit I love. So I'll just highlight this bit here. Well worth a read on the website as well. I think I am trying to study more their game, as in his teammates, and not just my game. In the past, I think I used to know just my game and they needed to adapt to me. Now, with time, and if you want to improve yourself, you need to adapt to their games as well. So I study their games. Just elite. Just absolutely elite, isn't it? Like those two players talking about leadership, what Mo Salah does. We know how he's in early. We know how he trains. We know the care he takes care of his body. And we're not taking any of this for granted. But just the fact now as well that he's even talking and studying his teammates' game to help him get better. I mean, as we say, God knows how many assists, how many goals he's going to end up, goal contributions overall this season. But it is just absolutely unreal from the Egyptian king. And as a few of you put in there, Storm in a teacup puts, get VVD done, then you can get Konate. We would just want all four done, wouldn't we? VVD, Trent, Salah, Konate. Do we think all four of those get done by the end of the season? It just feels still like a hoping and praying job, doesn't it? But we will have to see. And this one's a little bit different. It'd be interesting to get takes on this. Luis Diaz, 2 years left in the summer, 28. Started the season like a house on fire, didn't he? And then sort of tailed off. Cody Gakpo has really been consistent. He's almost moved to number 2 in the left winger rankings, if you want to call it that. You know, at false 9 a lot of the times, people, you know, that is mitigation for him. But there's not been too many goal contributions, although he did get a goal and won the penalty against Wolves, didn't he? Pike Sierra, who's well known, I'm sure, to Reds, he tweeted recently about it, didn't he? That Barcelona are still talking to him. There's no direct or concrete negotiations, but as he says, he's waiting to see what's happening with the Liverpool contract or not. Now, the thing about Diaz for me, and whether you agree with this or not, shout out to Dan Maguire, because he had this exclusive a while ago, didn't he? Saying Liverpool were looking to move on Núñez and were considering a Diaz departure. I kind of expect Diaz to go at the end of the season. It's always been a bit of a streaky player, always sort of blown hot and cold. I think he just, not in a bad way, he is what he is. He's been very useful this season, and I do like what he can do when he's at his peak. However, yeah, Red Armchair supporter there saying a lot of hot air from Barca, maybe make an offer or zip it. There has to be an offer to start anything going. But at 28 with 2 years left, I get the feeling this could be the last year that we see Luis Diaz at Anfield. May well be wrong. I don't say that unequivocally with a huge amount of confidence, but that is the impression I get there. We'll see what happens, as we move towards the end of the season. Because all the focus, and I get it, as also people are saying, it is all on the league, the trophies. Yeah, Anfield Road TV saying there, smash the likes. Yeah, smash the likes. Subscribe. Feel free to throw it in your comments. I'll try and call out as much of them as I can as well at the same time and involve everyone watching, because it is a good time to be a Red right now. No two ways about it. So that's a lot about the contracts, existing players. Transfer talk dominates a lot of the news this morning. Now, I don't know much or too much about this player, but we've sought to be educated. Wesley, Flamengo, Brazilian right back, 21 years old. So there's a few stories going around. It says here through AI that the Reds have actively been watching Wesley since last season. More recently, they decided to make the first informal approaches. So naturally, as we do at AI, I've been trying to do some digging for you, find out a little bit more about this kid and whether there is any interest. So the info that we've got is absolutely Liverpool have watched Wesley. Now, please, as I say that, for those who know the Liverpool process about the way they use data, funnel it down, then go through scouting, then go through heavy video analysis, they do this for a lot of players. Let's be absolutely crystal clear on that. However, yeah, our information is that Liverpool have watched Wesley. Data on this boy, this has got to be said with a ginormous caveat. Reaching out to Bart's and shout out to him. Data from the Brazilian league is limited. It's not seen as one of the major leagues. And when you look on FBref, I mean, you can see at a glance, there's a lot of green then in it. It's pass completion, it's progressive passes received, so he gets high up the field. tackles and interceptions. I mean, pass completion, 95th percentile. Progressive passes received, 97th percentile. Tackles, 86. Interceptions, 87. Aerials won, 85th. There's a lot on the surface to like about this player, but here's where the caveats have to get lashed in. Look at the players he's being compared with. I mean, there's some fullbacks there in the Brazilian league, but also a Blackburn Rovers and a Coventry City fullback. So keep that in mind. Flamengo have done very well in recent times as well. That is to be considered. So I'll be honest, I don't even pretend for 1 second I knew this player, I've watched him. That's just an outright lie. So what we always do is we normally do at Anfield Index is we reached out to South American people or experts. And shout out to Tom Robertson. So we got a good bit of information from him, who said that Wesley is a solid right back who's definitely ready for a European move. So that sounds positive. The caveat that was given by Tom is that the expectation would be, if it was to the Premier League, it would be more of a mid-table side or maybe Europa League level. So young and could develop, but right now, not where Liverpool need him to be. And I asked Tom, obviously because it's Trent, there's that question mark. And what Tom said was, no, a very different player to Trent. And as you can see on the screen there, more a Connor Bradley, as in he's not a playmaking right back, which I know people will say about Trent, and we know how unique and a unicorn Trent is. But for Wesley, an up and down athletic type of fullback. And if actually you look at his profile there, yes, it's a different league. Yes, they're similar ages. Yes, the data could be said apples and oranges. But on the surface, it overlaps quite similarly to Connor Bradley, doesn't it? So at some point in the near future, me and Bart, we will be running Wesley because that's the info we've got. Liverpool are watching him. It is difficult, though, we have to say, through transfer market metrics because of the nature. So that's just why I want to call out those caveats, but not one to dismiss immediately. So that's Wesley at Flamengo. The second player that there's a few stories doing the rounds on, I have seen this young lad a few times. I might be butchering his name, Kenan Yildiz, because Juventus are playing the Champions League. So I've seen a few of their games. He's 19 years old. There's talent there. I think 11 goal contributions, 6 in all competitions this season. It's this bit, though. 75 million quid. I mean, if you're going to spend 75 million quid, you want solid potential. I mean, you know how Liverpool buy their forwards after that 3-year period where they're looking for them to go supernova. And on the surface, he's a Mendes client. You know the relationship Liverpool have with Jorge Mendes. It's a very strong one. It seems okay for a 19-year-old, as in 11 goal contributions in big competitions over just shy of 2,500 minutes. Looks decent. When you look at his FB ref profile, I mean, his highest is tackles at 89%, pass completion 78%. Now, some people might be hammering me and saying, you've not watched this kid too often. I've watched him a few times in the Champions League, so I'm not going to say I've watched him every week. That would be a lie. But if you look at the players he's being compared with, like Akudas, Callum Hudson-Odoi from the Premier League, Matthias Sule, a youngster that Liverpool were linked with last season as well, does he stand out on those stats as someone that Liverpool should be screaming for, absolutely looking at? I think when you think of the names we've been linked with recently, like Semenyo, Kuna, Ekitike, João Pedro, I don't think he comes anywhere near that type of matrix. And people may disagree. It's all an opinion. But just on the surface and from the bits I've seen, I'm not going to take too much stock in this one. So those are your two big stories on AI. Wesley, the right back at Flamengo. Kenan Yildiz, the right winger at Juventus. The two big links from this morning. But yeah, different players, different things. Which naturally builds into, listen, it ain't far from the game, isn't it? So we're trying to keep you fulfilled to that time. Plenty going on. You know how it works as well. Jack will be doing the pre-match show for you, the watch-along. So that's there. Gags will be doing afterwards. and Trev, Dave, and the rest of the accompaniment will be doing Raw. So we have got you covered out the wazoo for content, pre-game and post-match, even the match itself as well at the same time. Other things, just to call out on AI people, there's plenty of things to watch there. So talked about all the lives that are coming up, but video-wise, we talked about Belabor and Huijsen yesterday, and Huijsen will be one of the players we're running on Transfer Market Matrix, or Transfer Market Metrics even, making up words there, next week. Plenty of build-up. Jan Molby talking about City. I know Carl and Dave talked about it on AI Scouted, the City build-up. Various bits for you to watch. Little call out for mine as well, because I always like to give a shout out to personal bits. Yeah, the next wonder kid. Never heard of this kid, Josh Abe. But Ben hosting Lewis as ever on the Youth Academy show. Well worth a little watch and a little listen if you prefer to get your podcast in an audio format as well. But yeah, people building into the City game, aren't they? As AWSC says there, we need to do our job first. Yeah, I get that before talking about 11 points clear. Last few games did not convince me we are capable of winning at the Etihad. It's a funny one, isn't it, at the moment? Because we've got a few draws, and you're thinking, is it soft goals we're giving away? We should have won the Everton late winner. Villa was a familiar tale a little bit as well when you think about it, wasn't it? That we dominated on the stats, we had chances, and then we don't need to talk about the Nunes and the Jota misses too much again. But it may be an interesting feel there. It just feels like a big chance to go to the Etihad at a time where, let's be honest, City were roundly beaten by Real Madrid. It was an absolute battering. If it was a boxing contest, the ref would have stopped it. Let's be completely honest. So, and we don't listen. Haaland's going to be back. Haaland's absolutely going to start this game. Ignore what everyone else is saying. So we'll have to see what develops. But we will not have too long to find out. Don't want to talk too much more about this game because, yeah, we'll have all our build-up as normal. Few comments as well there. Russell Stubley saying Wesley is class. Never seen him, Russell has said, but from the info, definitely one that we've looked at, like many players. We'll have to see. Red Armchair supporter, optimistic there. The table is looking good. It is. And hopefully it's better still this evening. But as we focus at nearly 11 a.m. GMT, British time, enjoy your day to everyone who's 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Enjoy the game to everyone that'll be watching City wherever in the world that is. Is a draw a good result, as DK says there? I don't know. Let's hope it's 3 points, and then we're talking even happier from Monday morning. But on Sunday, the 23rd of February, that was another Daily Red